guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be trying out a brand new foundation from Clinique. This is their Even Better Refresh Hydrating and Repairing Foundation. So it's the newest foundation in their Even Better range. They originally had the Even Better Original, then they had the Even Better Glow, which is one of my favourite foundations. For a long time I really loved this one, and now they have the Even Better Refresh, so I thought we would try this one out. So I only have a little sample which I just picked up in my little boots. They're doing 10-day free samples, so if you go in and just get shade matched, and they'll give you one of these little samples to try. Now, first things first, as you guys will know if you watch this review, I use the shade Stone in the Even Better Glow, and that shade is not available in this new one. So I have picked up the shade Oat, which seemed to be the closest match to Stone. So I don't think this is a perfect match for me right now. It's a little too dark and it's a little too warm. But I will say we did look at every shade in the range, and this is the closest one for me, for my shade twins. So that is the first thing. Shade range with Clinique has always been an issue for me. There's 27 shades in this new foundation, and 27 is not a horrible number, but the vast majority of those shades fall into the light medium category, and the vast majority of those shades run very pink or very warm. They don't really seem to have neutral shades in Clinique's range. They call everything cool neutral or warm neutral. There are no straight neutral shades. I find a lot of their shades run very pink, and the warm shades are very orangey, very warm. So for me, it's always a struggle to get a decent shade. And as you can see, this is the closest shade there was. We tried 5 or 6, and I'm familiar with their shade range anyway, so I know this to be an issue, and the fact that they've got rid of Stone, which was the one shade that really looked decent on me, is frustrating. I didn't swatch every single shade, so I hope that I'm wrong, but from looking online, it looks like there are only 3 shades for deeper skin tones, 3 for what I would call tanned skin tones, and then the other, 21 are all for light to medium or fair to medium skin tones. So there is the usual Clinique shade range issue with this foundation before we even get started. All of the deets on the foundation will be on the screen for you, but I just wanted to let you know about that shade range issue before we get started. So without further ado, let's whack it on my face. So I'm gonna use my MAC Prep and Prime primer before we go in with foundation. This is a common one that I use in my foundation reviews because it is a nice primer. It's like hydrating on the skin, but it's not mega glowy or matte, and it's not mega smoothing either, so it's not really going to do anything that the foundation wouldn't do, you know, by itself or with a different primer. So the foundation came out quite thick, which I guess is what you expect from a full coverage foundation. I am going to start off on this side with my damp beauty sponge. I'm not sure how much I'm going to need, so we'll start off with a little and see how we go. It's going on nice and easily and smoothly, no kind of immediate issues that I'm noticing. I can't really smell anything. Like, I can't smell any kind of strong perfume smell, and I can't smell the sort of painty foundation smell either. At this point, it's definitely like a light coverage. Lots of redness still showing through. Very natural. So I'm just going to see if taking a little bit more on my sponge, how much we can build that up. Okay, so it's still definitely like a sort of light to medium coverage, I would say. I'm going to go in with my Sigma F80 on the other side now and see if that gives us a little bit more coverage for our money. Blending nicely with a brush is like taking a little bit of work to, you know, get rid of brush strokes, but not a huge amount. But it kind of got to the same amount of coverage as this side without building it up, so you're definitely going to get a bit more coverage from the brush. But I still wouldn't say we were, you know, approaching full really. I'd still say we're kind of at a medium-ish. very natural finish. It looks obviously very glowy right now. See how it dries down. Haven't used everything on my tray, so it's not necessarily like a little goes a long way, but it's also not like you need an absolute ton either. I'm just going to kind of even everything up with my sponge now. Both sides applied nicely and easily and kind of blended in nicely. It took a little more work with the brush, but you did get a little bit more coverage, so it's just probably personal preference with this one. At the moment it is like identical to the Even Better Glow. They look exactly the same. Like this is very much how the Even Better Glow looks on me. Very dewy and natural looking, just about sort of light to medium coverage, feels mega lightweight on the skin and hydrating on the skin actually. It is soaking into my smile lines and a little bit on my forehead as well at this point. Everywhere else looks pretty good, looks very skin-like. Like I said, feels very lightweight, looks very lightweight, looks very natural. So let's finish the rest of my face, do a quick flash test, and we'll be back for the first check-in. So I finished my makeup. I used my Marc Jacobs bronzer in the shade Fantastic. I've used Becca's Opal highlighter and Laura Mercier's Peach blush. And on my lips, I have the MAC lipstick Down to an Art. It's been about an hour since I put this foundation on and everything has kind of settled down now. It's still looking very glowy, obviously this is highlight, but it is still looking nice and dewy, but it has now dried down. It still feels tacky, so I don't think it's going to fully dry down and it won't be transfer proof. It has soaked into my smile lines, but my forehead is looking okay actually, and this, because of that hyaluronic acid in there to plump your skin and smooth out fine lines, it might be one that actually kind of looks a bit better during the day, but right now it looks really nice and smooth. I really don't feel this is full coverage. To me it's definitely more of a standard medium, and that's with building it up a little bit. You can still very much see things like beauty marks, a little bit of redness and some discoloration showing through even though I built it up. I did take a little flash photo and it seems to have a little bit of a white cast, which is surprising as it does not seem to have SPF in it, but sometimes that does happen regardless of SPF or not. At the moment, I'm pretty happy with it. It is very, very similar to the Even Better Glow. Kind of at this point, can't really tell them apart. Obviously, the Even Better Glow does have SPF 15. So if you like an SPF, then you would obviously plump for that one over this one. But yeah, so far so good. It does look very natural. It still feels very lightweight. I had no issues with products going on top of it, and I'm pretty happy with how it's looking right now. The foundation does claim to be 24-hour wearing. It has just gone 11:30 here. It's been about an hour since I finished doing my foundation, so we will come back in the usual 8 or 9 hours and see how it's worn. Okay, so we are back and it has just gone 7 p.m. over here in the UK. So this foundation, we probably finished putting this on I think about 10:30, between 10:30 and 11. So this has been on 8.5 hours as a minimum. And I have to say, I am impressed. I really like it. I think it looks really good. I think I slightly prefer this possibly to the Even Better Glow foundation. I think it wears slightly better and it gives you slightly more coverage, but it still has a really nice natural finish. It feels really nice, light and hydrating. I think you'll like this if you have dry skin. I don't think you'll like this if you have oily skin. Let me just zoom you a little bit in. So you can see I'm looking a little shiny around here. Remember, I didn't set with powder and I didn't use a setting spray. So obviously you could do those things to keep yourself a little less shiny. I will say it never really fully dries down. I still feel sticky and tacky. So if you don't like that, you won't like this. My forehead doesn't look the best of like my favorite foundations. Like I feel like the lines are a little exaggerated and it has definitely like soaked into those lines and into like my smile lines. As do a lot of foundation, and you can just see the beginnings of like the wear around my mouth. So this kind of area has started to wear off. My nose looks really good though. Usually it's gone from there. A little shiny, like I said, around here, but the main body of my face is still looking good. You can still just about see like blush, highlight, bronzer and everything. So again, for like a pretty dewy foundation at the 8.5 hour mark, pretty good. So I guess my final thoughts on this foundation are that I like it. I think it's hydrating. It wears really well for a dewy, natural foundation. It could wear better with some powder if you want to do that. And obviously you could tone down the dewiness and set down that stickiness with powder if that's what you choose to do. Shade range will be a problem for a lot of people. And the shade is actually okay on me. It didn't oxidize or, you know, get any darker or more warm as the day went by or anything like that. It stayed as is, and it's certainly wearable for me. I just wish that they'd kept that extra shade that I usually use in the other foundation. I think if I was to repurchase this one or the Even Better Glow, I'd probably go with this one. The kind of SPF 12 in the Even Better Glow isn't enough SPF to sort of make me want to choose that one over this one with the hyaluronic acid, which I feel like is really, really nice. And it does look, I think, smoother than the Even Better Glow. A slight hair more coverage, but definitely not full. I'd say this is more of a medium coverage. I'm definitely going to give it a couple more goes as I got such a really decent sized sample, but I'm not sure at the moment that I would purchase the full size because it is quite similar to the Laura Mercier foundation that you guys know I'm loving at the moment, and I think that one sits better on my forehead, is a bit more flattering and slightly less shiny by the end of the day. But I do prefer this over the Clinique Even Better Glow. And if you like the Charlotte Tilbury one, it's kind of in that same region, but maybe a hair more coverage than that one, and again without the SPF. So it's kind of in that sort of ballpark of those foundations. I hope you found this review helpful, and I would love to see you in a future video. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.